What's up, y'all? It's your boy Dante, and we are back with episode 2 of the High and Outside podcast. As you can see, you look down a little bit, we got graphics. We're doing it a little better now, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, getting into our groove. And before I bring my crew in, of course, I need you to follow the Barber's Chair at Barber's Chair Co. on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/Barber's Chair Network. We have 4 different tiers you can subscribe to, so check them out, see what fits your budget, and just come rock with us. Of course, you can get all your Barber's Chair Network merch at the bcnetshop.com. We have some codes, but I need you to start signing up before I start giving out free stuff and things of that nature. So no, just make sure you hit the bcnetshop.com and also visit our one-stop shop for everything Barbershop Network at thebcnet.com. A lot of great work. We got our wrestling podcast. 79th and Hallis will be coming back soon. You know, we are excited about the Bears season and a lot of great content, man. So just make sure you check us out at thebcnet.com. Right now, let me bring my amazing cast in. You know, you saw them all last week, one by one. We got Courtney up top. Courtney, how you feeling?
I'm feeling fantastic. How are you guys doing? I know it's a little bit late there while we're recording this, so a little unusual.
Well, you know, you Central time zone guys got a little leg up on us. You know, it is late for me and Sid, but I'm off tomorrow, so it's all love. I love doing this.
Sid, Malik, how are you guys doing?
I'm good. I'm a night owl, so this is right into my routine, fit right perfectly in. I'm ready to talk some ball.
I am definitely not a night owl. I have big plans. I got my pajamas on right now, actually. I got big plans to hit that weighted eye mask and turn that fan on. Okay, you geek.
I got to do some. I do my nightly scouting reports on MLB The Show, so I'm a hop on after we get
all right. Hey,
speaking of the show, I am in AAA right now. Shout out to the show. Shout out to me. You know, killing things. You know what we do.
Oh, hey, this gonna make you laugh. So I got drafted by the Angels, and guess who's my teammate in AA?
We say it again.
I said I got drafted by the Angels. Guess who my teammate was in AA?
Tim Anderson.
Oh man, they had him as a backup, bro. He's like a 60. Oh, Jesus Christ, man! The man was in. I get it, but the man was in the show. Now we AA with the when your kids come to play the game, you in AA. Come on.
Hey, baby mamas have a way of snatching the life out of you. You know what can you do?
In more ways than one. Sid, how we feeling, bro?
I'm chilling, man. I'm feeling good for a late night, honestly. Like, I'm always ready to talk ball. I'm always ready to talk about the Mets. I'm always ready to chop it up with y'all. We chop it up all day. Like Courtney said, we are Yappers Incorporated for real in the group chat. Like, we be yapping about everything in there.
Correct. I'm like, I really do be yapping. So I'm like, at any point, y'all need to tell me to shut up because I will not stop. Because y'all are the homies in my head. Like, we're the homies. Like, we're cool.
No, we definitely all.
Yeah.
No. Courtney's famous, which y'all don't know. Let me tell y'all a quick story before we get into the rundown this week. So I'm in the press box recording the podcast, and it's somebody sitting next to me, and so like he sees the podcast obviously on my screen, and he goes, "Is that I'm Not Gonna Hold You with Courtney and Scott?" I'm like, yeah, it actually it is. He's like, "Oh no, I've been following them for years, man. That's what's up." So yes, you know, our resident baseball head Courtney is famous out here in these streets. So
let's go. Famous might be a bit of a
stretch. We love it. No, that's what
I am just chronically online, and sometimes that has its perks.
Yeah, I think that's all of us. Like we've all pretty much we are the social media generation. I know these younger kids have taken it to the next level, but I think we were the first ones to really start, oversharing and being online all the fucking time. But no, shout out to Courtney. Shout out to everybody that shows love to the show. And let's get right into it. We're going to talk money. We're going to talk money to kick it off. There were some contracts that have been signed as the season started. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was the first really big fish to get a deal. Somebody who has been looking for an extension to stay in Toronto, and he finally got it. So he ended up signing a 14-year, $500 million contract with a $325 million signing bonus. So Vladimir Guerrero, he gets his money, I believe the most money for a first baseman in Major League Baseball history. Sid, I know you're paying attention to this because you have a certain slugging first baseman who is about to get paid, but I don't think he'll touch that type of bread. So before we get into the other deals, because I think the other deals are the ones that really ruffle some feathers and are going to lead to a bigger conversation. What were you guys thinking about the Vladimir Guerrero deal and him saying, I want to spend my entire career in Toronto? Sid, I'll start with you.
So the first thing that comes to mind for me, of course, is everyone's talking Vladdy for the Mets. Like, yeah, whatever. David Stearns was never going to up the ante for however much money they thought he was going to get. And it doesn't really affect Pete Alonso's market at all, but good for Vladdy. I love seeing homegrown guys get to stay at home. And Vladdy Guerrero also gave us one of the best memes ever to ever exist. And it's the staying home Vladdy Guerrero meme. And we'll be using that from now on to talk about all the times we're not going out and all that. But yeah, it's good to see Vladdy stay home. It's even better to see someone else get paid. And this first baseman market, I still think it stays the same. I don't think many first basemen are willing to, or many GMs are willing to exceed the Freddie Freeman deal, or even I don't even think the Mets are willing to give back that 7-year, $153 million offer figure that they had out there for a little bit for Pete Alonso that he denied before his season last year. And so, this just turns out to be a good for Vladdy deal. In terms of the rest of the market, I think everything is going to stay stagnant and we're still going to be looking within, like I said, that Freddie Freeman contract.
Courtney, how you feeling?
I mean, that's great for him. I still think that's crazy as hell. But good for him. I really don't have too many thoughts on it because I don't really give that many thoughts to Toronto. I think it's a poorly managed ball club. And I think this is like the most damn ass signing, I think, in their history. They've been so close on so many guys. So just, pulling the trigger on Vladdy gives me pause, if only because I don't know if giving him that much money will stop them from making other signings that might actually like improve the ball club. But no, great for the fans. Great for him. It's fantastic money. Kyle Tucker is about to get paid. That's really all I'm thinking about now is how much he's about to get paid.
No, we're gonna touch on that later because Kyle is definitely about to get a bag. Malik, how do you feel about Vladdy saying, I'm gonna lock it in and I'm gonna be a Blue Jay for life?
I mean, more importantly for the Blue Jays, after all the free agents they struck out on, I think they were the ones that were backed into the corner. You lose Vladdy. I mean, you could have traded him and Bo for what would have been a crazy haul, but who knows what you get back with that, how that performed on the field. Who they miss out on this offseason. It seemed like every free agent since Otani, since Sasaki, the Blue Jays are always in the running and they can never pull it in. So I agree with Courtney. It is kind of that's a lot of money for Vlad. I know he's young, got to stardom, but I think he only gets that money being a homegrown talent, which, I like that. I like how they're keeping the money in-house and how they've grown him and kept him. But at the same time, what else are they going to build around him with spending that much money on him? And do they give Bo a contract, or is Bo the next one out the door?
Yeah, I think that's a very important. Go ahead, Courtney.
No. But I got news for you, Malik. Bo is gone. I would be so shocked if they paid that man. There's no body of work really, obviously, this most recent deal, but they don't really have the body of work that makes me think, yeah, these dudes are about to spend some money. Like they're really about to back up the Brinks. The last signing that they made that kind of moved me, and it wasn't really a big move per se, was Kevin Gausman.
Yeah, the only reason I think they may try to lock Bo in is because of what I mentioned with the signing bonus, because they spread the signing bonus over, I believe, the totality of the contract. So that makes a difference with the luxury tax. So we said a notoriously cheap ball club, they don't want to pay the luxury tax unless they absolutely have to. And this brings down their tax if they do, like we said, re-sign Bashir. I think it's going to be interesting because one thing we've always seen is the struggle for them to get people to come, like you said, north of the border. Even with this deal, Vlad did that because signing bonuses are taxed differently, and they're taxed in your home state that you reside in. Oh yeah, he lives in Florida, no state tax. So very smart move. A lot of loopholes, and so that makes sense for them, and I think that gives them more leeway. But again, how often are you going to be able to pull that off? Like, how many people are going to actually be willing to say, all right, let's do X, Y, and Z. We got to do this. We've seen the deferred money, which has always been a thing in baseball, but now it's kind of more prevalent and consistently talked about with the superstars. So I think with Toronto, you want to lock in Vladdy, like you said. You got him from the international draft. You spent your international money. This is a homegrown talent, a guy who has shown the loyalty. Could have easily just left and been a Yankee, been a Met, going to one of these top dollar organizations, but he's decided to stay home. So I think if anything, you have to reward him by excuse me, by going after it. You put all the money into refurbishing the Rogers Center, which actually looks really, really dope. If you get a chance to go out there, I know, it's damn near still in America, bro. It's a quick flight from New York. So if you get a chance to go up there, definitely go see it, because I think it finally looks like it looks and feels like a real ballpark. So having a player like Vladdy locked in, I think that's something you definitely got to try to take advantage of. Now, like I said, that deal, was expected. The numbers were expected. The average value is around 30. What was it? 35, 40. It was something ridiculous, but he earned that money. It's worth it. These next two deals were quite interesting, and they lead to a much bigger conversation. We're going to start with the rookie in Boston. I called it a slave deal when we first started talking about it. Now, I do want to apologize for that because that was a little ridiculous. But especially because I'm a person, and this is why I've never fully explained this, but I will. I hate when people call athletes slaves because of everything slaves actually went through. So, like, for me, I feel like this is just ridiculous to say that. So I won't use that language again. But he signed a 8-year, $60 million deal with 2 team options on the back end of that deal. And so, he, as young as he is, obviously it's a deal where he'll reach free agency again with enough time and enough, leeway, hopefully, to where he can cash out again. So that deal, I didn't like it, but that was one that, raised some eyebrows. But this one right here, y'all boy, I was a big Paul Skeens guy last year, but I know a lot of people wanted this guy to win Rookie of the Year. I'm sorry, I'm just scrolling. I'm trying to get it right. Jackson Merrill, he signed a 9-year, $135 million contract. And, when I say cause some controversy, because according to, MLB insider Bob Nightingale, this is his direct quote: "The idea of Merrill averaging just $15 million a year had lawyers from the players union strongly advising him to reject the offer." And so I think that's the first time I've ever heard that type of language from the Players Association, which, we typically don't speak highly of because of some of the decisions they've made and some of the things that they've allowed. But baseball is actually, out of all of the Players Associations, I feel like they have the most power out of the 3 leagues, and they've been able to use their influence and what they bring to the game and what they contribute to the overall product of baseball. They've been able to leverage that into the guaranteed contracts that they have. I'll go to you, Courtney, first. What did you think about this deal? Because with Jackson, he said, I have, we see all the big numbers, but I have real relationships with the people here in San Diego, so it was no issue for me. What do you feel about these contracts and just the way we see things trending in terms of how teams want to play their ball players?
Yeah. So it's like a double-sided issue, right? Like, great for the player because anything could happen, right? Like, you never know what could happen to you as an athlete, in your life. So you got to get the money while it's being offered to you. I will never, ever fault an athlete for accepting money, in hand. But on the other hand, these are some incredibly team-friendly deals. And I'm particularly referring to the Christian Campbell deal. That's crazy. That's crazy. And beyond, the 2 team options, and obviously the incredibly low AAV, they also got a PPI pick because he'll be playing in his full rookie season when they signed him to that extension. So that he gets it's a prospect promotional prospect incentive pick. They get an extra pick. The Brewers got one with Churio, or didn't get one with Churio, but who am I thinking of that got it? The Orioles got one with Gunnar Henderson because they ended up signing him. So again, it's just a super team friendly deal. And I don't, again, you know how I'm inherently team worker, right? So anything that helps ball clubs pinch pennies, I can't say I'm in favor of. But Jackson Merrill, I kind of understand. You're getting paid $20 million a year annually. You get to live in San Diego. I'm taking that deal every day. I know California's got crazy taxes, but I'm taking that deal every day. We also don't know what, the baseball is going to look like in a few years. With the new CBA, we have no idea if, is there going to be a salary cap? Are there going to be things instituted that completely change the way player contracts as a whole look? Are there going to be contract limits? Are they going to stop? We just don't know what the landscape and the ecosystem of Major League Baseball as a whole are going to look like in a few years. So I don't blame some of these dudes. Not even just these young guys, but even the Cattell Martes and everything. I don't blame these dudes for taking these extensions. Not at all.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and we're gonna get into that in a second, but I do think we are literally this, how a roller coaster gets to the point, the little fake dip before the real dip. I think we're in the fake dip right now in terms of going towards a lockout. It's just a matter of time before that goes, and we'll get into that.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah. But Malik, how you feel about these team friendly deals that these young guys are taking?
I mean, the first thing I thought of when I saw Campbell then Merrill is, when are we giving that to Wyatt Langford? Personally, I don't hate him. Especially like you said, anything can happen to you through the span of your career. And these guys, the way that teams will manipulate your service time, where you have to wait so long to get paid. At least now you got some bread in your pocket while you're waiting to get some more bread in your pocket. Merrill's there for 10 years. I want to say he's about 23, 24, so he'll be in his 30s. Campbell, on the other hand, I think he'll be about 20, near 29, 28 around the time when that deal ends. So I think hopefully he'll be able to earn himself some more bread before that extension fully ends. But sort of the same way that the Braves, now I know the Acuna deal and the Albies deals are crazy looking back at them, but the way that you can keep your team together while they're young, familiarity is an important thing, I think, in baseball, familiarity and team chemistry. So I do think keeping your younger players earlier and paying them while they're in the big leagues with their teammates making $100 million, I think that definitely it can be beneficial to both sides. I do think the Merrill deal is kind of crazy. I'm more okay with the Campbell. I know he got lowballed, but at the same time, dude's been in the big leagues was in the big leagues for 3 days. He's fresh off Georgia Tech, and then again, we're arguing $60 million. We're arguing life-changing money either way. So I'm okay with it. And like I said, I'm wondering, we should have Wyatt Langford on the phone for a deal similar like that yesterday.
No, I definitely see it. How you feel about these deals, bro?
I feel pretty much the same way as everyone else. Of course, these deals are super friendly. But Malik, I share the exact same sentiment, bro. Mark Vientos and Francisco Alvarez. I know we might not be able to say, hey, this is a full body of art here when it comes to your games. And Mark Vientos, maybe you don't have to chase the high fastball as much as you do. But hey, if you got a core locked up, lock up the guys around him. You do the right things. And looking even more into the Jackson Merrill deal, we look so much into other players' free agencies, and we talk, and we can even go back to the Juan Soto free agency. I hate being the Mets fan who always talks about Juan Soto and that free agency, but he was dealing with the San Diego Padres, And before the previous owner died, they were a super family-friendly franchise that Juan Soto was talking about spending his entire career there on a 14-year, six-something deal that never materialized because, again, an owner passed away. And so Jackson Merrill, the San Diego Padres, all this familiarity. Manny Machado's locked up. Your Xander Bogaerts is there for some reason or other, I suppose. Yeah, familiarity, long-term, because, again, baseball changes in one swing. And as long as you can compete in 9 innings with the Dodgers, you got a chance. Fernando Tatis is there. You have your core. You have your guys. Because I'm an NL East guy, like through and through, I only think of the AA deals, like Malik said. Like I think of the Ronnie and the Ronnie deal. Sucks, but how do you turn down that money when you've been in the league for a cup of coffee? Like, it's ridiculous. That's a lot of bread. That's a lot of it.
Yeah, no, and I think that's really the thing. A lot of the complaints about the contracts, I feel like, just like you said, from a leverage standpoint, and the way Major League baseball players have been able to, have that leverage that other sports don't have. And as we, know, the current CBA expires December 1st, 2026. And, part of the conversations they're having now is, potentially adding a salary cap to Major League Baseball, which has typically been a non-starter for the Players Association. But they say they have some new data out that they've been trying to, present that shows that bringing in not only a salary cap, but a salary floor would help baseball overall. I was completely against the salary cap, but when they mentioned the salary floor, as somebody who's a fan of a team that, notoriously doesn't spend, depending on where this floor and this ceiling are, that might be something I could personally get behind. I always want, of course, pro player, pro worker, like Courtney said, we want people to get their money. But if we can institute a floor where we can have these teams like the Marlins, like the Rays, even though the Rays win with their prospects because they, scout and draft really well, like the White Sox, like the A's, who, are notorious for not spending money, not, making revenue and not putting that revenue back into their ball club. Could you all get behind a salary cap in baseball and as well as a salary floor? And do you think the Players Association will get down with that? Sid, I'll go back to you first.
Hell no, we won't go, bro. Fuck that. Spend the fucking money, bro. Like, spend that, dog. I had to sit through the Mets lose their money through Bernie Madoff, bro. Spend the fucking money. Bobby Bonilla Day was a joke to people until they realized that Max Scherzer was getting $27 million a year from like the Dodgers still starting like next year. So, like, spend the fucking money, bro. A salary floor, it makes sense, but, like, it's a non-starter. It's an absolute non-starter because, again, are you trying to, like, breed resentment within your league? Like, we have such a friendly league amongst players and things like that, but, like, there's a lot of transparency with contracts, and that's kind of how guys measure up. Francisco Lindor famously said that he when he took his contract, getting that $1 million more was very important to him, and no one really knows why. We all know why, because of the Fernando Tatis deal. He knows he was better than Fernando Tatis at shortstop, and he wanted to be compensated like it, or at least in the same breath, and then like a $1 million more just to say fuck you. Like, I'm fine with that. That's the kind of economy that baseball should have, because baseball is hard. So, like, no, this is a complete non-starter. I don't care if a salary floor does come with a salary cap. No, nix it. It's ass. Like, enough.
I feel you. And before I go to you, Malik, because the main reason I say I'm with it is because, again, you have owners who are dug in on not spending. Like, they're perfectly fine with taking their revenue and going home. Especially, like, I've said this before on other shows, but one of the reasons Jerry Reinsdorf doesn't spend is because he has the most friendly stadium deal in Major League Baseball. he was the one who was one of the key owners to bringing in revenue sharing. That was his idea, despite the fact that he's in the second biggest market. But he, just leans on that. He leans on these things the same way he lets his Bulls make the play in every year just to get, one little extra revenue check. He's cool with that. That's how he works. And so I think the reason I could get behind it is because you force these people to say, hey, you can't just sit in your hands. Either do something or sell the fucking team. And I think in some cases that may speed up people getting rid of the team, because if you go to Pittsburgh, prime example, we keep saying free Paul, which I agree with, because like they're just a dog shit organization. But if you bring in a floor where you say, all right, bro, you can't keep having this 65, $72 million payroll every year. That's not acceptable. This is a $1 billion business. Do you have these $1 billion brands? You got to do something. I think that may, like I say, either force people to sell or finally spend the money that we know that they have. Courtney, what are you thinking?
No, like Sid said, if a salary floor comes or if a salary cap comes at the expense of a salary, I'm not about it regardless. Obviously I want billionaires to spend their money. This is, if you can't afford to spend, then sell the team. I don't know what to tell you, but I don't like the crying broke excuse that so many owners like to use as an excuse to not spend. And obviously I want to see players get paid. Again, baseball is very hard. You deserve to be compensated accordingly. But if a salary floor is on the table, I'm not trying to hear it. Or a salary cap is on the table, I'm not trying to hear it. Death to
so
salary cap.
So we can go floor, but no cap. That's what I'm hearing?
I'm down for a floor, absolutely, but I'm not down for a cap.
Okay. Malik, how you feeling, bro?
I feel the same way. I think the salary cap floor is going to help build more competitiveness in baseball and the sport where I already think it's pretty competitive, even though you have teams like the Dodgers deferring all this money. You can still have it's any given day. You still got to execute on the field, but you're right. You got teams like the Colorado Rockies. You got teams like Oakland. You got teams like, the Angels. You got the White Sox who aren't spending it all, who are comfortable. We hear it's cool to, see all these young developing prospects, but some teams are legit not trying to win a championship. The Texas Rangers over here, they, built up, won the championship last year. You have a chance to attack the American League, and the ownership are talking about they don't want to go over taxes and they don't want to do this and do that by going to add a simple pitching staff. So I definitely think a salary cap floor is going to help these owners spend some money. If there was a salary cap, I think it would be so insanely high that only a certain number of teams are affected by it. But then on the other hand, when you hear for my no salary cap argument, Kirby Yates was on the shelf when nobody's going to get him the whole offseason. And then, so I can't be mad at the Dodgers. Him taking $20 million from the Dodgers. Nobody else offered him a penny. So I'm for the floor. I'm for the cap. I'm really for these owners to make a move, like you guys say, make a move or shut up and get out. Because that's how you end up with situations like we have in Oakland where they're Sacramento and we don't know if they're going to be Vegas and all this hoopla that's going around that situation.
Yeah, bro, it's gonna be interesting. Like I said, I think we're in that first little dip of the roller coaster before we finally go off the cliff. But I do think something's got to shake. You got to do something, bro, because for as powerful as this, Players Association is, Major League Baseball is in a interesting space right now. You have some of the most, talented players you've had, yet you have a lot of people who still want to say your sport is dead. And I think that's more so a big PR problem. And when you go into having lockouts and things like that, that just kills all the momentum you're building. So, it's something they got to get done. I think it would be foolish for you all to let greed and, money really stop you all from, continuing to build on this momentum. But, we've seen it before with Major League Baseball. So there's really no telling. But like I said, hopefully we don't come to that. Speaking of momentum, we know there's a certain team in Texas that my two friends on the show are not fans of, but they've been extremely successful over the past few years. Of course, we're talking about the Houston Astros. They've really shook things up this offseason. You know, got rid of some pieces that were there for the World Series, guys who were homegrown talent. Has been a thing, of course, over the past, I would say 2 or 3 seasons. Well, Springer's been gone for 3 seasons around, right? It's been at least 3.
It's 4, I want to say.
Yeah, 3 or 4. So Georgia's
time is a bitch. Time
Yeah.
is a bitch.
Springer was the first Steve Cohen free agency.
Okay. So yeah,
Buster
you
Posey
see,
bet the farm that George Springer was going to go to the Mets.
did he?
Yes, he did. That's exactly what he said.
Yeah. But no, so you've seen, you know, them slowly but surely break up that championship team. And now things have not gotten off to a great start there. I'm gonna throw it to Courtney. Courtney, let us know what's going on down there in Houston.
Yeah. Houston, again, I've said it once, I've said it before. There's no good time of year to lose a bunch of games. And the Astros have a lot of problems right now. It's not one isolated problem. They have a pitching problem. They have a massive offensive problem. They have a catcher problem. The Astros just have a lot of problems right now. Some of it is bad luck. They have a squad full of righties with the exception of literally they have one lefty on their team, Yordan Alvarez. That's the only lefty they have. And they have not seen any left-handed pitching starter or left-handed starters this season, just FYI, through these 12 games that they've played so far. They are 5-7. As a team, they're batting .208. They have 7 home runs and 11 stolen bases total as a team. They're just fucking terrible. And I really have to just explain to you how bad they've been with runners in scoring position. Mets series, 1 for 8, 0 for 5, 0 for 4. Giant series, 2 for 6, 0 for 2, 2 for 7. It gets worse. Just wait. Twins, 2 for 4, 1 for 10, 4 for 15. And then the most recent Seattle series, which that series really could have gone either way. Unpack that on a different show. But 0 for 3, 3 for 5, 3 for 4. You got to be better than that. I don't know what else to say. It really does seem like they have, and by they, I mean their ownership has kind of, whether or not they want to admit it or not, has taken a step back. This team is not good. They're not good. And again, their rotation, Framber Valdez, great. Hunter Brown has been great so far. They just lost Spencer Arrighetti, terrible, just bad luck that he got hit in the thumb. Fortunately, I don't think it's too bad, so he'll probably be back early June. I think they're still hitching their wagon to Lance McCullers coming back, and his most recent start at Sugarland was terrible. Luis Garcia, that rehab got shut down, so he's not coming back. So they were like holding out for reinforcements that I don't think those reinforcements are coming. And again, Lance McCullers hasn't pitched since like 2022, 2023. No, 2023. Lance McCullers has not pitched since 2023. You don't know the kind of guy that you're going to get back after that. So, the Houston Astros have a massive problem. And again, it really kind of goes back to ownership. Why didn't you sign any of the lefties that were available? Max Kepler, Jesse Winker. There were plenty of Alex Verdugo. There were guys that were available that could have helped fill that lefty role, but also your outfield role. Jose Altuve. Why is Jose Altuve playing left field? Please, someone explain that to me. This is a question I'm asking.
Sid, I'm gonna go to you, Sid, because I know you had some things to say about, like you said, the core that they broke up, who just happened to be slapping the shit out of the baseball everywhere right now. Everywhere but Houston.
Right. They broke up the unction. They broke up Jose Altuve. They broke up Bregman and Kyle Tucker. They got rid of it. And why that allocation happens with their outfield, I guess they thought they had a wealth of riches on the infield defensively, and it's mind-blowing to think that you're treating at this point your legacy guy from your championship runs like this. Like I don't want to say he looks dejected, but like, how are you putting like a 5'7" guy? Like, why are we doing this to Jose Altuve, bro? Like,
and in their left field, in the Crawford, like it's just so silly, Sid.
Yeah, and yeah, like you said, Court, it comes down to ownership, and it comes down to, you know, what happened in between. Well, we know what happened in between, you know, Jim Crane being this crazed guy and saying like, yo, we need data, we need this, we need algorithms, we need everything to now. But, you know, we have so much more information and technology in baseball now that we can still allocate those same resources to. And it's mind blowing to see a team like Houston that found a way to win a World Series, even after everything, that they can't find a way to allocate these resources, not only to be successful in this way, but to continue to develop people. We were talking about it before the podcast started, but Jeremy Pena, what's going on, brother?
Correct. And he's batting fifth. But that's also a testament to how bad this lineup has been. You're cooked when you're beyond, you know, Jose Altuve has, again, admittedly, been hitting the ball very, very well. He's batting, 346 right now, hitting the ball very, very well. But you're cooked when the next best guy in your lineup is Jake Myers. Jake Myers is the second best hitter in your lineup. Your catchers, both of them, mind you, one of them is a lefty, again, that's buried, unfortunately, in that roster. They're still riding with Yainer Diaz as their primary catcher. They have a combined 2 RBI. That's fucking abysmal. You can't have that. You can't have that.
Yeah, I mean, the Astros' problems, I think, really started after winning that World Series when they didn't bring back their GM. And then Dusty goes. And then over the offseason, Reggie Jackson, who'd been connected with them. It was weird. I'd say it was weird the last few years to know who was really calling the shots with the Stros. I know Reggie was in a lot of people's ears. He's gone now. So who knows if Jose is even seeing left field. And the odd thing to me, okay, you know, you put Jose in left field. I'm thinking that moves, as somebody who's seen the Astros a lot, I'm thinking that moves for Mauricio Dubon. Dubon ain't even really playing like that. I think it also says there's something deeper with Jordan's leg injury that they don't want him to go out there in the outfield. He has a solid arm. He can make some plays out there. He's done it in the past, but that knee was shot in the playoffs. Him and Kyle Tucker both couldn't do much, and I think that knee is still affecting him, and that's why they don't want him out there, and that's forced Jose to be out there. Crazy we're talking about him today because I will always have a little bit of belief in the Houston Astros. They're just the gnat that never goes away. There's some damn cockroaches. Before I was about to leave the house yesterday, I want to say they were winning about 5-0 in the 8th inning. Blew a lead to the Seattle Mariners, who were one of the worst offensive teams in baseball. We'll see how that L carries them through the next few weeks. They got a hot Angels team coming into Houston this weekend, so I think it could be a little trouble for the Stros.
Yeah, bro, we're gonna see, man. It's gonna be interesting to see if they can turn it around. I know they have the streak of ALCS appearances, but I mean, when you don't have the talent, it's tough to get it done. And I think this is one team that's always had the combination of talent, manager, GM, and now you're starting to see that disconnect. And when you have that disconnect, and this is in every sport, it's hard to win. It's tough. Speaking of, you know, former Astros, Cal Tucker and the Chicago White Sox. I'm sorry. A man can dream.
Next in the offseason, I'm sure
they wish. Let me tell you.
My bad. No, Cal Tucker and the Chicago Cubs, man, they look legit. You know, I usually go hard on the Cubs, but right now I cannot say much. They are one of the that bullpen is dog shit, but they are one of the best offensive teams in baseball by far right now. You know, really hitting the ball well, driving in a lot of runs. I'm gonna kick this off with you again, Court. Let me know what you've seen from the Cubs. It's tough for me to not hate on them. That's why I'll speak last on this. But let me know what you've seen from the Cubs and how you feel. Is this something that they can truly contend for the NL Central?
Oh yeah, the Cubs can absolutely contend. If only because the Brewers, their pitching staff is just so unbelievably awful right now. Same with the Cards. I'm pretty sure the Cardinals and the Brewers are two of like the last teams in the league in terms of a team ERA. The Cup again. It's funny actually. I think 3 of the last teams. The Cardinals, the Brewers, the Rockies, the A's, the Nats, and the O's all have worse ERAs. And it's funny that 3 of those teams are in the NL Central. So again, the fact that if you can't win this terrible fucking division, you have no business doing anything. No, but the Cubs offense is fantastic. And I said this to y'all earlier, just because I was looking at Kyle Tucker's numbers, and I was like, if you're the Cubs, you basically give that man a checkbook and you say, just tell me what your number is. And that's it. You cannot let that man leave that lineup. He is absolutely the spark plug in that lineup. You give Kyle Tucker whatever he wants. Now, again, there's nothing that the Cubs have ever done to make me think that they are going to spend that kind of money. Will they spend that kind of money? I am still incredibly doubtful. I don't think the Cubs have ever spent more than $200 million on a contract. Yeah. I don't think they've ever done that.
That's not how
do I think it's going to happen, especially now in light of the Vladdy extension? Yeah, I'm doubtful, but they do need to do it. But yeah, that bullpen's fucking awful. But I maintain, I said it about the Royals, I think that's something that can very easily be improved at the deadline. Getting a couple innings eaters is a lot easier, by the trade deadline, and it's something that you can fix relatively easily. Will they make those moves? Stay tuned, but I don't know. I'm liking what I'm seeing from the Cubs so far.
Yeah. See how you feeling?
I mean, you guys know me. I love pitching. If we were going to talk about pitching, we're going to talk about 2 guys in the Cubs. We're going to talk about Shota Imanaga. We're going to talk about their free agent acquisition, Matthew Boyd. And so when we're looking at Shota Imanaga, right now he's pitching to a 2.70 ERA, but that's after he got blown out by the Rangers. And so before that, he was looking legit, man. He was going 7 innings. Like, aside from opening day in Japan, where he went 4, this guy's nails right now. That's probably the guy you want leading everything. And then Matthew Boyd, the free agency acquisition, a 0 ERA, 10 strikeouts, and a 1.18 whip. And then we still have Justin Steele waiting in the wings. We have Justin Steele, who just went on the IL for left arm tendonitis. But, he's pitched to a 4.34 ERA. And if you can get him probably within that 3.3 range, you have 3 legit pitchers who can win you a series. And that's all you need, and a hot bat. And then you got Austin Riley, who knows how to do it. You got Kyle Tucker, who knows how to do it. How can you not? Like, they're going to win that division. And if they don't, something has gone incredibly wrong and people should lose their jobs, even though that's probably like the Chicago baseball slogan at the end of every year at this point.
Yeah, and I think more so the Cubs than us, because we expect to be terrible. Like, the Cub fans, it's funny because like I have a group chat full of Cub fans, and so it's literally the same cycle every year. They start off, hey, this could be the one. Hey, we're actually good. Hey, we suck. Hey, I hate the Ricketts. Hey, fire everybody. And it's just, one big loop. And so, I think that's really been the issue. Like you said, will the Ricketts spend the money is the big question. Because, you have a guy like Kyle Tucker who, is a Boris boy. He's going to get his bag. And it's a matter of, are you going to finally stop lying to your fan base? They have spent some money, but where you're spending it and you're not getting the superstars, that's when it becomes a problem. And you've put the money in the Wrigley Field. Wrigleyville is the cash cow. You got the sports book there. You're making money hand over fist, left and right. You bought all the bleachers behind the fucking stadium. You own everything. So it's like, to say you don't have a revenue stream, even though I've heard, the marquee network is doing pretty bad. Like it's doing really bad. Everybody can't be the Yankees. The Yankees have the Yes Network. Dodgers have their network, and even they had their issues with cable and things like that. But with the Cubs, the money's there, and so my issue is, are you finally going to just stop making up excuses and spend it? And as you've seen, the Cubs fan base spends money. Like Jerry Reinsdorf can legit say, well, you motherfuckers don't come to games. And he's not wrong. The Cubs don't have that problem. Wrigley's going to sell out. It's a national landmark. It's going to be full every year. So you're going to always make your revenue there. So why not put it back into the team? Malik, how do you feel about the Cubs and what you've seen so far? And do you think they'll actually pay Kyle Tucker?
I do think they'll play Tuck. I think they were in on a few free agents this past offseason that they didn't get. So even then, Tucker was a trade, but I think you can't miss out on a guy like him. What he adds, the lefty, adding his left-handed bat to that lineup, along with Dansby. Dansby always plays solid ball. Ian Happ as well. I got to watch the Cubs closely this week with the Rangers being out there. Too cold. We will see how the bats continue when it actually heats up. 20-degree first pitches. Sort of had the team shocked, and I mean they didn't mind. They're playing small ball. They're putting bat to ball, button, scoring runs like that. But like y'all talked about, the bullpen just wasn't there. I am a little worried about this injury to Justin Steele. I think he was going to have he had some good starts to start the season, probably one of the best starts of his career, Monday against the Rangers. And I mean, we remember last year with all the Tommy Johns and all the elbow soreness rumors that we had. We haven't had a lot of those this season on the major category, but they're starting to build up. So, I mean, you lose a guy like him, that's going to lessen the depth in your bullpen. We'll see. They already got rid of they sold Cam Smith for Kyle Tucker, one of their top prospects. I know they have plenty of prospects up, but I mean, when you're going to have to lose them and add to those bullpen arms, you have to spend on your bullpen in the deadline where you have to use stuff instead of waiting and doing that during the off season where you can just spend your money on it. It's got me a little worried. I think the Reds are going to take the Central ultimately if they can hit some baseballs. I know they've had some tough weeks, but I think Terry Francona can push them apart. So we'll see how the Cubs keep going as that weather heats up. But I do think Kyle Tucker is a must keep there.
Yeah, I mean you're starting to put the pieces together. Like you said, fix the bullpen, which is I don't want to say an easy fix, but it's it's something that can be done. And you have Craig Counsell, who you paid a lot of money, and he's starting to get put on fraud watch in a lot of circles in Chicago because it's like, sir, we pay you a lot of money, and you make some very poor decisions with this bullpen, and that's what we brought you here for. And like we know. Like kind of with Ben Johnson, when we said, the Lions offensive line isn't coming with him. We knew he wasn't bringing Devin Williams with him and that bullpen from Milwaukee. But at the same time, brother, there are certain moves and certain strings you pull that have looked pretty bad. And so people are starting to ask questions about, could they have just kept David Ross for this shit? It's like, did we really need to spend that money on a manager when you could have put that money into the ball club? So that's one of the concerns I have, but I do agree. And I said this at the beginning of the season. I think that the Cubs can win that division and should win that division. Francona is going to be, like you said, a teacher. We know how he does. We saw what he did with Cleveland. So it's a matter of how that holds. But I think there's really no reason why the Chicago Cubs can't win this division and shouldn't win this division. And just like you said, like Courtney always says, spend the money. Like just spend the money. Like you got it, just spend it. It's easy to say as fans, but at the same time, it's like, come on, bro. You know what this is, and you know what this game requires. So we'll see.
It's so easy to spend money. It's so easy to spend money to field a competitive baseball team because when they're successful, you therefore are more successful. Why do these people act like winning? Yes, it can be expensive. The Dodgers are spending a lot of money, but do you know how much money the Dodgers are making? But again, I understand why the Jerry Reinsdorfs of the world don't want to spend because they're making money regardless.
Yeah.
Well, wouldn't you want to make more money?
I mean, you got to think Jerry Reinsdorf is 90 years old. A win is a win. Like I'm already up.
He's so I'm crazy. Let me shut up.
Yeah, but no, as we do at the end of every episode, it's only been 2, but this is what we're gonna do at the end of every episode. We got a couple series for y'all that we're gonna highlight for this weekend. The first one we're gonna get into, we were just talking about these 2 teams, the Cubs and the Dodgers face off. They kicked off the season in Japan. Now they're back stateside and getting ready to go at it. The Cubs are currently 9-6 in first place. In the NL Central, and they're 7-3 in their last 10 games. The Dodgers are again the NL West is just a fucking. We're gonna talk about another team in that division too, but it's a slugfest. The Dodgers are currently 10-4 and a half game out of first place. They're 6-4 in their last 10 games. I'll start with you, Sid. How do you feel about this series, and what's something you're looking forward to?
I mean, Dodgers belt to ass. It's gonna happen. I'm looking forward to seeing Shohei do the thing in Chicago. Are they playing at Chicago?
It's in LA. It's in LA.
Yeah. Surgical game. Yeah. Nothing out of the ordinary. Bullpen won't hold up. Shohei, like I say in the chat, it's a double to end the game. But no, it's these are the classics. The classic teams that you love to watch. This will be fun. Like I said, the pitching lineups are always going to be good with the Dodgers coming in, or they may not even be at this point. We're 2 weeks in and they're down 4 arms as they typically are.
Dodgers way, baby.
The Dodger way. The
Dodger way. We're still waiting for Clayton Kershaw to come back. So
are we? Sid, I say this as someone who loves Clayton Edward Kershaw with her whole heart. Are we really waiting for Clayton Kershaw to come back?
No, but contractually he's obligated to show up.
If they're waiting for Kersh, they're fucked.
I'll
just say that.
He's contractually obligated to show up at some point.
I will be at Cooper's. That will be my first pilgrimage to the Mecca that is Cooperstown when man gets inducted. But I gotta be honest.
No, we're not waiting on him at all.
It
sounds nice.
It's over.
Man. Malik, bro. Cubs, Dodgers, what you got, bro? How you feeling?
I mean, Mookie Betts is back on fire. Like you said, Shohei Ohtani's balling. But I would like to see if the Cubs can carry that offense that they brought against Texas, besides the last game, against Texas, out to LA. Sunny weather. They're not playing in the 20 degrees no more. Dansby Swanson is going to show up. I think Ian Happ's going to show up. But I agree. I think the Dodgers are going to, I think a sweep is coming. Some close games they play with the Nationals, but I think they're starting to get their feet wet. Teoscar Hernandez is still balling. Freddie Freeman being down, there's plenty of bats on the Dodgers to fill that spot, but definitely something that I want to monitor is how quickly he can come back. But yeah, I think the Dodgers got this one pretty easy.
Court, you chiming in as well with the Dodgers?
Yeah, this series is gonna be fucking electric. And yeah, I want to see if the Cubs are legit. I want to see if they're for real or not. And if I don't really have any question marks about the offense. It's this bullpen. I gotta see, and not just the performance of the actual players themselves. I want to see how Craig Counsell manages this bullpen this weekend in this series. That's really what I'm looking for in looking at this weekend. Also, yeah, I need the Dodgers to get it together because dropping random games to the Washington Nationals in 2025 is crazy work. I don't know if the bad juju rubbed off on y'all. Don't know what happened when you made that little trip on Monday to that one house. Figure it out.
Yeah. But no, I want to see Kyle Tucker in LA. I've always liked Kyle Tucker, been a big fan. Me and Malik tried to interview him in Seattle, but he had to go. They were taking the team pictures and all that shit. But no, Kyle Tucker is really dope. One of the best left-handed hitters in the game. And like I said, I want to see him on stages like this because, I think it's too early to call it a litmus test to say, if the Cubs, even though I agree, but at the same time, it's still kind of early because there's so much baseball left. But I want to see Kyle Tucker like get out to an extremely hot start to the point where they say, "Okay, let's lock this up. Let's get this over with." Like it's like you said, there's no way we can let him leave Chicago. Like this shouldn't even get to free agency. This is a guy where, similar to the Vladdy deal, we should be getting a breaking news alert in the coming weeks where Jeff Passan says he makes, he gets his 550, 600 M's or whatever the case may be. But I want to see him go out there to LA and with the Dodgers pitching staff, like you said, no matter how many arms they add, no matter how many people they add, it seems like every year by the third or fourth week of the season, we are on random AAA pitcher number 3 or some shit like that. It always happens with the Dodgers. So I know they'll get through that. Like you said, this is not gonna ramp up Shohei's return or anything like that. They just have him on. They want him for the playoffs, which I understand. But I'm most interested in seeing Kyle Tucker in this series, and I think he'll have a big series. I don't know if the Cubs will be able to do anything out there out west. They typically don't, but we'll see. I think Kyle will have a series. And last series before we get out of here, we talked about another, like you said. Bring out the diamond tester. Are they real or they fake? The San Francisco Giants, Buster Posey's team. I like to say that now, but they are headed to the Bronx to play the New York Yankees. Yankees are 7-5, while the Giants are currently in second place. They are tied with the Dodgers. They're 9-3, 8-2 in their last 10 games. Courtney, I'll kick it off with you. What are you looking for in this series, and how you feel about the Giants?
I hate saying it. They kind of scare me. I'm not gonna hold you. They do scare me like a little bit, just like a little bit. Not too much, but like definitely a little concern there. The series this weekend is actually going to be quite good. I think Marcus Stroman pitches tomorrow against Robbie Ray, and that should be an interesting matchup. Also, Marcus Stroman has like it's some crazy like 2.22 ERA against like in 6 career starts against the Giants. I know this team, obviously it's a different team than what he's seen before, but man, the Yankees have been asked recently. The Giants have won 8 of their first 9 games, which I think is the first time that they've done that since 2003. This team is for real. I fear they might be for real. And like their lineup isn't even hitting on all cylinders yet. I'm processing this in real time because I'm actually just sitting here thinking about it like, damn, there might be a 3-way, 4-way race in the NL West. That is a very real possibility. And yes, I did slide the Diamondbacks in there because they do scare me too.
They don't scare me, and that ballpark stinks. But Malik, how you feeling about?
The ballpark does stink. That ballpark does stink.
Yeah, how you feeling about this series, Malik?
I mean, wake up, Jazz Chisholm. Since he spazzed off a few weeks ago against Milwaukee, he hasn't done much. Judge still balling, of course. Hasn't had a homer in a few games. I'm sure he'll get one over the weekend. So I'm looking for a good series, and like you guys said, a chance for the Giants to sort of put their foot down. I know it's early, but you come in the Bronx, you get a sweep, you take 2 out of 3 against that team. People gonna be raising some eyes. Buster Posey. I mean, I started watching baseball when I was in 7th grade. The first team that popped up on my TV besides the Texas Rangers was the San Francisco Giants, led by Buster Posey. So I love what he does. I think he's one of the best. I think he's one of the best winners. He would have been one of the best catchers all time. He doesn't get ran over at the plate. So it's cool to see his team having early season success. I definitely think they've always been the type of team to stick around in the NL West. I know it's been a few years since they've been at the top, but they can compete with teams like the Dodgers. They have some starting pitching. They got Logan Webb, who's he could be considered one of the best pitchers in said division. Not sure if he's on the mound this weekend. Hope he is to get a chance to go against.
He's the Sunday night game against Carlos Rodon.
Oh yeah, that's going to be a good one. So yeah, just let's see what these Yankees got. They came out with a lot of power, with a lot of pop. You got a team like the Giants who they play in that big ballpark. They're not bopping the ball like that, so they got to get it done other ways. So I think it's going to be a good series. I'm going to take the Giants in that one.
Sid, bro, bring us home. How you feeling about this series?
Fuck the Yankees is how I feel. No, pardon my language. My French. Sorry, Grandma. They have a lot of good pitching. The Giants have a lot of good pitching coming up. On this road trip, they have Robbie Ray coming up, who's pitching to a 3.18 ERA. We have Jordan Hicks coming up, 2.38 ERA, and then Logan Webb with a 1.89 ERA. For a Yankees lineup that, like Malik said, Jazz Chisholm, is probably time to wake up. It's a hard 3 pitchers to wake up against, and it's an early season litmus test. I hate that phrase, early season litmus test, because there's 162 games. Like, this is not anything. This will be an aberration, but we enjoy baseball, and this will be a damn good series, just like Court said.
Yeah, I'm about to say y'all been using that litmus test word a lot today in week 3 of the season, but we gonna see. It's gonna be fun. I think
every game counts, Dante. Every game counts.
I was just about to say, I'm saying this now, and then we'll come to the end of the season, and there'll be like a half game out, and then y'all are gonna shit on me like, see, if they would have took that game serious, then we wouldn't be having this problem. But nah, man, it was another great chat. We didn't expect to go this long, but we managed to make it work. Everybody on the late night. I truly appreciate it.
Professional yappers.
It's what we do. This is what we do. Like I said, thank everybody for coming out. One by one, we're gonna start doing it like we always do. Sid, let them know where they can follow you.
You can catch me on Twitter at Sid Slide Park. Just like the Mac Miller album, Blue Slide Park, except it's Sid. And then you can find me on IG at STKOTR. I got some projects coming out. I do write a sitcom. I do a bunch of different stuff. I have a lot of fun, and so we're gonna have a lot of fun. There's gonna be a lot of good content coming soon from me.
Oh, definitely, Courtney. Let them know where they can holler at you.
You can find me on all platforms except for Instagram. I might not accept you there at 1-800-CALLABRO. Again, the name is Courtney Callabro. I am not a bro. I mean, that is gender neutral. But yeah, follow me on Twitter for all things baseball. We are about to get into the Stanley Cup playoffs, so there might be some hockey splashed in there. But as always, it is a good time over in my little corner of the internet.
Malik, let them know, bro.
What's up, y'all? Follow me on Twitter at _Team Mill. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Malik Mill. Got some great content up. Had a great conversation with Todd Bradley of the Tampa Bay Rays this past weekend. One of his best friends grew up with Michael Harris, Lawrence Butler, and one of his other best friends, Mark Church, who taught him his slider, was on the other side of the mound, or the other side with the Texas Rangers this past weekend. So more content coming out next week, and yeah, make sure to drop me a follow.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you already know me. You can follow me on Twitter at October's Own Tay. That's TAE. As far as Instagram goes, don't follow me. I will follow you. And as usual, like we say on every episode that we do, follow the Barber's Chair at Barber's Chair Co. on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/Barber's Chair Network. We have 4 different tiers. So, we're going to work with your budget, but just make sure you come work with us, man. Of course, you can get all your Barber's Chair Network merch at bcnetshop.com, and also visit our one-stop shop for everything podcast related that we do, everything that we have content related. I'm doing post-game recaps at the Braves games. We got a lot going on right now. Just make sure you check us out over at thebcnet.com, and we will see you next week.